After my bike was locked by campus police for being illegally parked, I damaged property to get my bike free and get out of the ticket. When I was in college, I illegally parked my bike onto a signpost. I did this because all the bike slots were overflowing every day and there just wasn't enough parking for all the students. So I locked it to a nearby signpost. I can't remember what it said, probably no parking, lol. Anyways, I locked it, went to class, and when I came out it had a lock on it from the campus police along with a ticket. It was one of those heavy-duty U-shaped metal bar locks. I walked home that day, then later at night when nobody was around, I went back to my bike, worked the signpost out of the ground, which was compact crushed stone, and got my bike free. The lock was still on my frame, but I could ride it. I laid the sign on the ground, rode back home, then the next day I borrowed a stone wheel attachment for a drill and cut through the lock. It wore down the attachment, but I got out of the $15 ticket. Yes, I was an asshole, but I was determined not to let the man win. I shit on my neighbor's doorstep. So back when I was 10, my dad asked me if I wanted to make $20. I accepted. The catch: I had to shit on our neighbor's doorstep. It was clear my dad had beef with this woman. She woke in the morning and tried to blame our chihuahua. My dad yelled at her saying that the shit was bigger than our dog. Impossible. The point is, I don't feel bad. Forever daddy's girl. I stole my student's product idea, which is now my successful business. Back when I was teaching at high school, our department, business related, always had this project where our students will think of a product idea and be manufacturing small scale it to sell to the other students. I came across this product idea of a snack that looked really good in my mind. The group of students explained it really well, so I saw that they really wanted it to be approved. Moments later, I found myself emailing the dept to change the mechanics of the product conceptualization. I argued that it was a time for a little twist. Then I informed the group that they needed to change the products because this AY, the department wanted that all the products should be non-food. They were disheartened, but agreed. Fast forward to 10 years later, I now own a successful enterprise selling the same product. IDK if they forgot about it, but no one has emailed me yet. I feel guilty at times, but yeah. So I infested 2 different schools with fire ants. So I was in kindergarten or first grade and I took my lunchbox to school and I remembered there being an apple in it. I went to the multi-purpose room for lunch and ate all of the food given to me by my mom except for that apple, which I had taken a bite out of and then threw it back in the bag because EWW healthy things. After coming back from recess, instead putting my lunchbox in my cubby, I put it in the corner of the classroom. That day I left school without my lunchbox. And the next day I left it in the corner again, not thinking about it. This continued on for about 4 to 5 days because at the time I had the memory of a goldfish. On the last day I noticed a line of red ants coming from the corner of the room. I lived in Maine. Fire ants are native to the area and hurt like a son of a gun. So I picked up my bag, dumped out the rotten apple and squashed all the fire ants inside and left school without a thought. The next day an announcement came on the intercom to tell kids not to touch the little gray boxes in the corner of the room because they are catching the nasty bugs. The second time it happens was similar but for different reasons. It was 3rd grade this time and I was being bullied a lot, mentally and physically. Teachers weren't doing anything about it and my pea-brain thought it would be a good idea to do the same thing I did in kindergarten to get back at my teachers. So I brought my lunchbox to school and ate everything but whatever fruit or vegetable was in there. I left the bag in the corner of the room right next to the crack in the wall. The fire ants came in within the first few days and started with my lunchbox, but quickly migrated to other parts of the school. Even the multi-purpose room, which was directly connected to the cafeteria, different building than kindergarten. One day the little grey bug catcher boxes appeared in the school, indicating my plan had worked. I had infested the school fire ants. I know now that this didn't directly affect my teachers at all now, but damn, it felt good then. I sometimes overcharge rude customers. I work in a food shop, and quite often I'm working on the tills. I am always very polite and say hello to every customer. Some are polite back, however others are rude. They don't say hello, don't pack their own bags, put their basket in the wrong area, and don't even say please or thank you when I pack their bags. It doesn't take a lot to have basic manners. In my shop, bananas are weighed to determine the price using a scale at the till. When a customer is rude and is also buying bananas, I place the bananas on the scales and then push down slightly with my hand. I realize this doesn't impact them much, the difference would only be a few pennies, however it gives me some satisfaction, even if it is slightly petty. Edit. A small minority of people in this comment section are acting like I overcharge every rude customer I come into contact with by large amounts. I do not do this. I may overcharge the odd customer by pushing down on the scales a bit harder, but I don't do this to everybody. For the most part, I just grin and bear it. However, everybody has to vent occasionally, and so slightly overcharging those people is how I get some satisfaction from a rather mundane shift. Those saying I need to be fired are seriously overreacting. Some people here just need to get a grip. I nibble on my father's cheeseburgers before serving them. My father's health hasn't been great, and I've been looking after him for the past year. He has grown fond of Wendy's Dave's single cheeseburgers during this time. I noticed that the square patty leaves 4 crispy corners of burger outside the bun. I have instituted a policy to eat these 4 protruding corners before giving the burger to my father, and he is now convinced Wendy's has switched to circular burger patties. I'm not proud of this, but I do appreciate the numerous additional nibbles of cheeseburger. I have also inverted this tactic with his morning sausage patties, which are round. I will cut off the 4 edges with a spatula to dine on, so he is now also convinced that sausage patties are sold square instead of round. I hosed the neighbor and I have no regrets. When I was 8, I lived in London with my nan and granddad. We lived on the ground floor of a 3-story townhouse. My neighbors were typical posh twats.
One day they took little Charles and Helen AFK and 5-year-old named Helen to watch Chitty Bang Bang, as was the norm for the pompous posh families of London.
It was a hot summer's day and the wife and the maid stayed at home to lavish the sunshine, sitting in their expansive garden next to ours, separated by a fence. Being the good boy I was watering the garden when I heard the wife cackling. She had a very ugly laugh. It was like what I imagine a car pile-up, but with only horses as drivers would sound like. Anyways, I looked through a peephole in the fence and saw the maid and her sitting with their feet up and dipping strawberries in cream. This, for some reason, enraged me. I sought revenge for all the times her little shithead kids had gloated about doing their rich people things. However, I didn't think the maid deserved the reckoning I aimed to rain down upon them, so I had a plan to ruin the wife's little midsummer strawberry session. I ran out the front door and rang the neighbor's bell. I sprinted as fast as I could back to the fence and saw through the hole that my plan had worked. The maid went to answer the door. I had a small window of opportunity. I had to seize it. I turned the hose to full capacity, maximum overhose, climbed on a stepladder and aimed it over the fence. I underestimated its power. It blasted the side of her face and tipped their table over, knocked her off her chair and into the ground in my unrelenting onslaught. The ground ran red with disintegrated strawberries and makeup. My mission was successful. I turned the hose off and threw it inside to hide the evidence, peeped through the home and saw the maid come back and witness the aftermath of my adolescent wrath. Pretty sure I saw her crack a smile before assisting the wife, but who knows? Realizing my actions have consequences, I ran inside, grabbed my Nesquik and hid under my bed. My nan was shopping and my granddad's pretty deaf, so he didn't hear the incessant doorbell ringing that ensued. I just chilled watching Fairly Odd Parents from under my bed until it all blew over. I'm 23 now and I do not regret any of my actions.